All right, we're just going to go live. We're just going to do it. Taking care of a couple things. Here, but I can do that at the same time because there's not going to be a whole lot of people watching me. We are, for the couple of you that are here, why hasn't it started yet? Here it is. There I am. I see myself. I see Steph's here. I see Jack is here. What's up, story man? Jack, George, Big Dick, Lucas. I see Riff. Magos is here. I see Runners here as well. What's going on, guys? What we are doing today, I see Tyler in the chat. What's up, Tyler? We're going to read this book because I need to get it done by Saturday. I have not started it yet. So I also need to get watch hours on this channel. So I thought an awesome thing to do would just be to go ahead and read along. Maybe very boring for some of you, but that's all right. I need to get it done because I don't have much longer to do it. Trey is in the chat. I see Darth Thanos here as well. What's up, man? Let everybody start to roll in a little bit. My Nerdy Home says, let's fucking go. I don't know which book you're reading. I put it in the title. Champions of the Force. This is a dope idea. It is. Tyler says I'm here for a sneak peek at the collection. You want a sneak peek? Yeah, I'll give you a sneak peek. Hold up. How about this? How's this for a sneak peek at the Revan lightsaber that I just got today? Just picked it up. The pre-order. It is here. I am now Revan, or I will be very soon. I'm going to do an unboxing video and a review of this when you're not going to see it today. But this is pretty cool. They're going for a lot on eBay right now, but it's mine. It's mine. Riff says James Lucino books are good too. Yeah, they're awesome. They're fucking awesome. And by the way, it's purple and red. It changes colors. I don't know if you guys knew that about the blade. Lord Vader's here. What's up, Lord Vader? Everybody wants the Revan lightsaber. Pre-ordered it. Martin, nice shirt. Thanks, bro. Steph thinks it's hers. You thought they canceled it. What's the worst EU book? The worst EU book. That's a good question. Lord Vader has his own lightsaber. Rennie's here as well. So many people coming in already. Thank you. 13 people watching. I don't think you guys are all going to sit here and watch me the whole time. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think it's going to be fun to get into. Give it just a couple more minutes. Crystal Star is pretty bad. These books are kind of bad. These ones. I love almost everything after NJO. Love Rogue Squadron. Crystal Star is pretty bad. Planet of Twilight and Children of the Jedi are also pretty bad. But not everything's going to be good when you have such a huge collection of shit. There's going to be a couple stinkers, and that's what we have in the EU. Rennie says, I love the EU. Let's do this. All right. You ask, you shall receive. I got to thank Steph, too. She gave me the idea to do this, which is a great idea. So shout out to her. We have water because I think my throat's probably going to get a little sore doing this. That one, something galaxies with the low red stormtroopers. That one doesn't count. Eckhart Slider gave an interesting take. He thinks Darth Bane trilogy is bad. I don't think he said that. I don't think he said that. What I did think he said is that he thinks Darth Bane is Mary Sue, which he's not 100% off. We talked about it a little bit when we did book reviews. When we did book reviews about the Darth Bane trilogy. I have not heard him and Corey talk about it in their book club. I usually listen to a lot of those. I've not heard them specifically talk about them, about how they reviewed the books in general. But if he said it's bad, if he actually said that, I'd be a little surprised because I think they're pretty well written. Even if he does think Darth Bane may be a little bit of a Mary Sue. But I don't know. All right, guys. I'm I'm actually going to pull up Facebook because I'm waiting for a message from Jeremy about something. We'll just have it open. Jeremy's messaging me. Jeremy Reed, yeah, barely. How's he and Mary Sue? There's massive time skips between all the books. It makes sense his power gets greater. It's about I understand what he's saying, some of the things that he's able to do with no training. The idea that he's able to stop his father's heart, he's able to kill his father. I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying, but I don't think he's that much. Runner's got to go. Peace, buddy. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. AFK Bard is here. AFK Bard, it's been a while since I've seen you. How are you? How are you? I do have a Rey figure that's up there. I don't show it to anyone. It's a Pop Funko that someone sent me. It sucks. But somebody sent it to me, so I don't want to destroy it. All right, we're going to get reading this, guys. I may take a couple breaks in between. I'll try to keep an eye on chat a little bit. Obviously, we're going to be reading a lot. I don't know how much I'm going to get through. I've never really read aloud for time. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Now, this book is the third book in the Jedi Academy trilogy. It's called Champions of the Force. It took me a while to find it. I had to dig through all my shit. I don't know why I could not find this book. Funko Pop, not Pop Funko. Whatever. I'm saying it in Spanish. So let me read the back of this to you. The back matter to get you caught up on what has been going on. So, Volume 3. This takes place 11 years ABY, if I'm not mistaken. So, 11 years after the Battle of Yavin is the setting for this. Effectively, what I suppose 8 years after Return of the Jedi, right around there. I think that's about right. So, as the New Republic continues its struggle for survival, a scattered but powerful remnant of the Shattered Empire seeks to destroy 3 precious children, among them Han and Leia's Jedi twins, who represent the next generation of Jedi Knights in this third and final novel of the Jedi Academy trilogy. Steeg is here. Hello, Steeg. Wedge slept with a chicken. He did. Suspended helplessly between life and death, Luke Skywalker lies in state at the Jedi Academy. But on the spirit plane, Luke fights desperately for survival, reaching out psychically to the Jedi twins. At the same time, Leia is on a life and death mission of her own, a race against the Imperial agents, hoping to destroy a third Jedi child, Leia and Han's baby Anakin, hidden on the planet Anoth. Meanwhile, Luke's former protege Kip Duran has pirated the deadly Sun Crusher on an apocalyptic mission of mass destruction, convinced he's fighting for a just cause. Hunting down the rogue warrior, Han must persuade Kip to renounce his Dark Crusade and regain his last honor. To do it, Luke must take the Sun Crusher on a suicide mission against the awesome... I'm not going to fucking read all this. It gives a lot of the book away. What the fuck? All right. So this was written in October of 1994. See if there's anything good. Gives thanks to Ralph McQuarrie for a lot of ideas and also George Lucas himself. All right, I'm hoping that I can continue to read this because my eyes kind of fucking bugging me. Chapter 1. The Sun Crusher. The Sun Crusher is a super weapon that can blow up stars. The Sun Crusher plunged into the Caridian system like an assassin's knife into an unexpected heart. Old beyond his years, Kip Duran sat hunched over the controls with dark eyes blazing, intent on his new target. With the might of the superweapon, as well as the powerful techniques his spectral mentor, Exar Kun, had taught him, Kip would extinguish all threats against the New Republic. Only days before, he'd annihilated Admiral Dala and her 2 Star Destroyers in the Cauldron Nebula. On the fringe of the explosion, he had dropped off one of the Sun Crusher's coffin-sized message pods so that the galaxy would know who was responsible for the victory. As his next target, Kip would challenge the Imperial Military Training Center on Karita. Reading with Ryan. Yes, I see wine in the chat. AFK bar, that's funny. The military planet was a largish world with high gravity to toughen the muscles of potential stormtroopers. Its untamed landmasses. God damn, I need to fucking get this light closer to me. I might have to bring this in here. Hold up. Got some people following along with me. I need to move all my Mountain Dew. My Yoda. Get some better light up in here. Oh God, this fucking part's awesome. Here it is. Its untamed landmasses provided an appropriate range of training environments: Arctic wastelands, trackless rainforests, splintered mountain crags, and searing desert hardpan crawling with venomous multi-legged reptiles. Karita seemed the opposite of Kip's peaceful homeworld of Dyer, where he and his family had lived in raft colonies on the calm, terraformed lakes. But that peace had been shattered years ago when Kip's parents had chosen to protest the destruction of Alderaan. Stormtroopers had crushed the colony, whisking Kip and his parents to the spice mines of Kessel while conscripting his brother Zeth for the Stormtrooper Training Center. Now, as he orbited the military planet, Kip's face bore the tight, hardened look of a person who has been through the raging fire of his own conscience. Shadows rimmed his eyes. He did not expect to find his brother still alive after so many years, but he intended to learn the truth. And if Zeth was not there, Kip had enough firepower to destroy the entire Caridian solar system. A week ago, he had left Luke Skywalker for dead atop the Great Temple on Yavin 4. He had stolen design parameters for the Sun Crusher from the mind of its naive creator, Kui Zux. And he had blown up 5 stars to incinerate Admiral Dala and her 2 Star Destroyers. At the last moment, Dala tried to flee the exploding stars, but to no avail. The shockwaves had been intense enough to blank the Sun Crusher's view screens, even as fire overtook Dala's flagship, the Gorgon. Since the awesome victory, goddamn eyes, since the awesome victory, Kip's obsession had gained momentum, and he had set out a hyperspace course towards annihilating the Empire. The Caridian Defense Network spotted the Sun Crusher as Kip entered orbit. He decided to transmit his ultimatum before Imperial forces tried anything stupid. He broadcast on a wide range of frequencies. Jesus fucking Christ. What is wrong with my eyes? I choose Legends. Me too, Stieg. Am I the new Doritos Pope? Maybe. I legit can, like, barely fucking see anything. It's not good. Not good at all. Right. I'm still down on message Jeremy. Sorry, guys. Putting up a video on Geeks and Gamers right now. Mind. I effing hate super weapons. Am I okay? I'm okay. Ryan reads quite well. Well, thank you. Thank you, Stieg. That should be good. Save. And we're about to make this public on Geeks and Gamers. Public, done. Playlists, reviews, movie reviews. Boom. All right, I just did it. Sorry, guys, we're doing a little bit of both. Gungan Fighter. All right, let me just make a comment here real quickly and pin it. I'm sorry, guys, multitasking. Subscribe to Mark the Cyborg. We will go right here and say copy link, and boom, boom. We'll pin it. You guys are seeing how we make the sausage, I suppose. Another Christopher Nolan mindfuck. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. Now we're good. What's up, Galen Merrick? 20 people watching me. Fucking shoot the shit with Jeremy as we're fixing something. All right. All fixed. Now we're going to continue on. Sorry about that. Where was I? Here it is. Kip says, Caridian Military Academy, he said, trying to deepen his voice. This is the pilot of the Sun Crusher. His mind searched for the name of the ambassadorial buffoon who had caused a diplomatic incident on Coruscant by tossing his drink in Mon Mothma's face. I wish to speak to Ambassador Fergan to discuss the terms of your surrender. The planet below made no response. Kip stared at the comm system, waiting for noise to burst from the speaker. His alarm consoles flashed as the Caridians attempted to lock onto the Sun Crusher with a tractor beam, but Kip worked the controls with Jedi-enhanced speed, oscillating his orbit at random so they can never get a positional lock, a positive lock. I am not here to play games. Kip's hands bunched into a fist and slammed down on the comm unit. Karita, if you do not answer within the next 15 seconds, I'll fire a torpedo into the heart of your son. I think you're familiar with the capabilities of this weapon. Do you understand? He began counting out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. He got up to 11 before a brisk voice came through the comm system. Intruder, we have transmitted a set of landing coordinates. Follow them precisely or you will be destroyed. Relinquish control of your ship and the stormtroopers immediately upon landing. You don't seem to understand what's going on here, Kip said as he before he bothered to stop laughing. Let me talk to Ambassador Fergan now, or your planetary system is going to be the galaxy's newest bright spot. I've already blown up a nebula to wipe out a pair of Imperial battle cruisers. Don't you think I destroy one minor star to get rid of a planet full of stormtroopers? Get Fergan and give me a visual. Kip's intense right now. Kip's intense. No spoilers for you. All right. Peace, buddy. The hollow panel flickered, and the wide, flat face of Fergan appeared, showing aside the comm officer. Kip recognized the ambassador by his heavy eyebrows and his purplish lips. Why have you come here, rebel? Fergan said. You are in no position to make demands. Kip rolled his eyes, losing patience already. Listen to me, Fergan. I want to find out what happened to my brother Zeth. He was conscripted on the planet Dyer about 10 years ago, and he was brought here. Once you have that information, we'll discuss terms. Fergan stared at him, knitting his heavy, spiked brows. The Empire doesn't negotiate with terrorists. You don't have any choice in the matter. Fergan fidgeted and finally backed down. It will take some time to access information that old. Maintain your position in orbit, and we'll check. You have 1 hour, Kip said, and signed off. On Karita, in the main citadel of the Imperial Military Training Center, Ambassador Fergan looked down at his comm officer, frowning with lips the color of fresh bruises. Check that boy's words, Lieutenant Doran. I want to know the capabilities of that weapon. A stormtrooper lieutenant marched in with the precise military stride that sent shivers of admiration down Fergan's spine. Report, he said to the captain. The helmet speaker amplified the stormtrooper's voice. Colonel Ardax announces his assault teams are ready to depart for the planet Anoth, he said. We have 8 MT-AT vehicles, MT-AT, located in the Dreadnought Vendetta, along with a full complement of troops and weaponry. Fergan tapped his fingers on the unpolished console. Hydrate, yeah. Kip did nothing wrong. What's up, son of Luke? Kip did nothing wrong. Yeah, fuck the Imperials, man. I don't know if it's because I'm tired or the lighting's bad, but I'm having a hard time. I want an audiobook read by Ryan. Thank you, Steeg. I think I'm doing all right. Fergan tapped his fingers on the polished console in front of him. It seems an extravagant effort to kidnap a baby and overcome a single woman who's watching him. But this is a Jedi baby, and I will not underestimate the defenses the rebels may have emplaced. Tell Colonel Ardax to prepare his team for immediate departure. I have a minor irritation that needs to be dealt with here. And then we can go fetch a young, malleable replacement for the Emperor. The stormtrooper saluted, whirled on one polished boot, and exited through the chamber doors. Ambassador, the comm officer said, scanning readouts, we know from our spy network the rebels had a stolen Imperial weapon called the Sun Crusher, which can supposedly trigger the explosion of a star. And there was a mysterious multiple supernova in the Cauldron Nebula less than a week ago, just as the intruder claims. Fergan felt a thrill of anticipation as his suspicions were confirmed. If he could get his hands on the Sun Crusher and the Jedi baby, he would have more power at his disposal than any of the squabbling warlords in the Corps systems. Karita could perhaps become the center of a blossoming new empire, with Fergan at its helm as regent. While the Sun Crusher pilot is distracted and awaiting news of his brother, we shall mount a full-fledged assault to cripple the craft. We can't let such an opportunity escape us. Kip stared at the Sun Crushers. This needs to be a weekly thing. We'll see. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I appreciate 24 people being here for this shit. Kip stared at the Sun Crusher's chronometer, growing angrier with each ticking interval. If it weren't for the hope of learning news about Zeth, Kip would have launched one of his 4 remaining resonance torpedoes into Karita's sun and backed off to watch the system explode in a white-hot supernova. With a surge of static, Karita's comm officer's image appeared before him, contrite and businesslike. To the pilot of the Sun Crusher, you are Kip Duran, brother of Zeth, who we recruited on the colony world of Dyer. The comm officer spoke with a plodding voice, communicating each word with unnecessary precision. I gave you that information already. What have you learned? The comm officer seemed to fade out of focus. We regret that your brother did not survive initial military training. Our exercises are very strenuous, designed to discourage all but the best candidates. Kip's ears filled with a roar like rushing water. He'd expected the news, but confirmation sent despair through him. What were the circumstances of his death? Checking, the comm officer said. Kip waited and waited. During a mountain survival tour, he and his team were snowed in by a sudden blizzard. He appeared to have frozen to death, There is some indication he made a heroic sacrifice so other members of his team could survive. I have the full details in a file. I can upload it if you like. Yes, Kip said, his mouth dry. Give me everything. He recalled an image of his brother. 2 boys throwing small reed boats into the water and watching them drift forward into the marshes. Then the look on Zeth's face after stormtroopers had crashed into their home and dragged him away. This will take a moment, the comm officer said. Kip watched the data scroll across his screens. He thought of Exar Kun, the ancient Lord of the Sith, who had shown him many things that Master Skywalker refused to teach. The news of Zeth's inevitable death was like severing the remaining threads of Kip's fragile restraint. Nothing could stop him now. He would show murderous Karita no mercy. Kip would remove the Imperial thorn from the New Republic's side and then move to topple the big Imperial warlords gathering their forces near the galactic core. He waited on Zeth's files to finish uploading the Suncrusher's memory. It would take a long time for him to absorb all those words, to imagine every detail of his brother's life, the life they should have had together. Knowing from the thin veil of atmosphere at the limb of the planet, a battle group of 40 TIE fighters roared toward him. Another cluster of 20 came from the opposite horizon in a pincer formation. The ploy of Zeth's files had merely been a delaying tactic to keep him preoccupied as the Caridians launched an attack. My fucking eyes. This is rough, guys. Weekly reads. Maybe I'm doing these too late. Maybe I'm tired or something. Fucking stupid. Kip didn't know whether to be amused or outraged. A grim smile flickered across his face, then vanished. The TIE fighters came in, firing what must have been intended as crippling laser blasts. Kip felt the thumps of their impacts on the Suncrusher, but his special quantum-layered armor could withstand even a turbo-laser blast from a Star Destroyer. One of the TIE pilots contacted Kip. "We have you surrounded. You cannot escape." "Sorry," Kip said. "I'm fresh out of white flags." He used his sensors to track the lead TIE fighter from which the message had come. He targeted with his defensive lasers and let loose a volley that strafed across the ship's flat solar panel. The TIE ship broke apart in a flower of white and orange flame. The other fighters retaliated from all sides. Kip targeted with his own defensive lasers, selecting 5 victims. He managed to strike 3. Using the extreme mobility of the Suncrusher, he accelerated upwards just as the surviving TIE fighters sent return fire through the expanding explosions of his first round of victims. Kip laughed out loud. He lolled. As 2 of the fighters hit each other in the crossfire. The wall of anger rose and strengthened in him, increasing his reservoir of power. He had already given more warning than the Caridians deserved. Kip had stated his ultimatum, and Fergan had sent out attack ships. "This is the last mistake you'll ever make," he said. I would like that, Stieg. The TIE fighters continued to fire, missing more often than not. Laser bolts spanged off the armor, causing no damage. The pilots did not seem to know how to target or shoot properly. They had probably spent all their time practicing in simulation chambers without ever fighting an actual space battle. Kip relied instead on the Force. He shot back, obliterated another ship, but decided that further fighting was not worth his time. He had a bigger target. 2 fast TIE interceptors streaked after him as he pulled out of planetary orbit and set a course for the star at the heart of the system. The only damage they could possibly do to the Suncrusher would be to take out his tiny laser turrets. Dalla's forces had once succeeded in disabling the Suncrusher's external weaponry, but New Republic engineers had repaired it. Another breached TIE fighter spurted flash-frozen atmospheres that exploded. Kip darted through the debris, straight towards the sun. The surviving Imperials charged after him, still firing. He paid them no heed. Over and over in his mind, he rolled images of Zeth, imagining his brother frozen and helpless in the training exercise for an army he had never wanted to join. The only way for Kip to cauterize that memory was to purge the entire planet with fire, a fire only the Sun Crusher could unleash. He activated the firing systems for his resonance torpedoes. The high-energy projectile would be pumped out of an oval-shaped plasma discharge from the torpedo generator at the bottom of the Sun Crusher. Last time Kip had fired the torpedoes into a supergiant star in the nebula, Kurita's sun was an unremarkable yellow sun, but even so, the Sun Crusher could ignite a chain reaction within the core. As Kip swooped in toward a blazing ball of yellow fire, flickering prominences reached out of the stars. I can't fucking read. Of the star's chromosphere. Boiling convection cells lifted hot knots of gas to the surface where they cooled and sank back into the churning depths. Dark sunspots stood out like blemishes. He sighted on one of the black spots as if it were a bullseye. Kip primed the resonance torpedo and spared a moment to glance back. His TIE pursuers had split off, unwilling to come so close to the glaring sun. Failsafe warnings flashed in front of Kip, but he disregarded them. When the control systems winked green, he depressed the firing buttons and shot a sizzling green-blue ellipsoid deep into Kurita's sun. Its targeting mechanisms would find the core and set up the irrevocable instability. Kip leaned back into the comfortable pilot's seat with a sigh of relief and determination. He had passed the point of no return. He should have felt elated, knowing it was only a matter of time before the military academy was finally extinguished. But that knowledge could not wash away the grief he felt for the loss of his brother. All right. That's the first 9 pages. How is it? I've only been reading for 9 pages. Jesus. What the heck is this? This should be Geeks and Gamers Premium. Reading time with Ryan. God damn. I'm so down for this, Steve. That'd be awesome. All right. A little sip. Let's get back to this shit. Geeks and Readers. That's right, AFK. I have so many bottles of Mountain Dew here. Jesus. I'm gonna build a freaking wall with this shit. Come a little closer, baby. I can't read very well. Dark Horse Star Wars comics? That'd be awesome. All right. Alarms screamed through the citadel of the military training center. Stormtroopers ran along flagstone halls, taking emergency positions at strategic points as they had been drilled, but they didn't quite know what to do. Ambassador Ferguson's face held a comical expression of shock. His bulging eyes looked as they might pop out of their sockets. His lips scraped together as he fought for words. But how could all of our TIE fighters miss? They didn't miss, sir, Comm Officer Doran said. The Sun Crusher seems to have impenetrable armor, better than any shielding we've ever encountered. Kip Duran has reached our sun. Although our readings are scrambled from coronal discharge. More Jeremy. I'm streaming on my live channel now. I'll be free in an hour or so. God, there's a lot of typos because I typed with one hand. It is a bedtime story. All right. Although our readings are scrambled from coronal discharge, it appears that he has launched some sort of high-energy projectile. The comm officer swallowed. I think we know what that means, sir. If the danger is real, Fergan said. Sir, Doran wrestled with the rising agitation. We have to assume it's real. The New Republic was pointedly uneasy about being in possession of such a weapon. The stars in the Cauldron Nebula did explode. Kip Duran's voice broke over the intercoms. Karita, I warned you, but you chose to trick me instead. Now accept what you brought upon yourselves. According to my calculations, it'll take 2 hours before the core of your sun reaches a critical configuration. He paused for a beat. You have that amount of time to evacuate your planet. Fergan slammed his fist down on the table. Sir, Doran said, what are we going to do? Should I organize an evacuation? Fergan leaned over to flick a switch, toggling to the hangar bay. Fucking missed it. In the lower staging area of the Citadel. Colonel Ardax, muster your forces immediately. Get them aboard the Dreadnought Vendetta. We will launch our North assault team within the hour, and I will accompany them. Yes, sir, the reply came. Fergan turned to his comm officer. Are you certain the boy's brother is dead? Nothing we can use for leverage? Doran blinked. I don't know, sir. You told me to delay him, so I made up a story and sent a fake file. Do you want me to check? Of course I want you to check, Fergan bellowed. If we can use the brother as a hostage, perhaps we can force the boy to neutralize the efforts of the Sun Crusher weapon. I'll get on it immediately, sir, Doran said, and hammered his fingertips on the data pads. 6 of Fergan's training commanders, summoned by the wailing alarms, marched into the control chamber and saluted briskly. Standing shorter than the commanders, Fergan clasped his hands behind his back, pushing his chest out as he addressed them. Take an inventory of all functional ships on Karita. Everything. We need to download the data cores from our computers and take as many personnel as possible. I doubt we'll be able to evacuate them all. Therefore, choices will be made on the basis of rank. Are we just going to abandon Karita without a fight? One of the generals said. Fergan screamed at him. The sun is going to blow up, General! How do you propose to fight that? Evacuation on the basis of rank? Doran said in a small voice, looking from his panel. But I'm only a lieutenant, sir. Fergan scowled at the man hunched over his control panel. Then that gives you all the more incentive to find the kid's brother and force him to rescind that torpedo. I see Hate Monger here. Thank you, Hate Monger. He does voices. I bet he has at least one kid. You guys are funny. Through half-polarized viewports, Kip watched the surviving TIE fighters pull away and sweep back to Karita. He smiled with satisfaction. It would be good to watch Karitan's panicked scramble as they went to grab everything of value on the entire planet. Over the next 20 minutes, he watched streams of ships launch away from the main training citadel, small fighters, large personnel transports, Star Worker space barges, and one deadly-looking dreadnought battleship. Kip was annoyed at himself for allowing the Imperials to have so much weaponry away, or to haul so much weaponry away. He was sure it would eventually be used against the New Republic, but at the moment, Kip took his pleasure from eradicating the solar system. You can't escape, he whispered. A few might get away, but you can't all escape. He glanced at his live chronometer. Now the instabilities had begun pulsing out of the star. He could get a more accurate determination. The Caridians had 27 minutes before the first shock wave struck. The flow of ships petered out, with only a few scrap heap vessels struggling out of the gravity well. Karita did not appear to be well supplied of vessels. Most of their prime equipment must already have been commanded by Grand Admiral Thrawn or some other Imperial warlord, commandeered. The hollow panel flickered, and an image of the comm officer appeared. Pilot of the Sun Crusher, this is Lieutenant Doran calling Kip Durant. It's an emergency, an urgent message. Kip could well imagine that anyone still on Karita might have an urgent message. He took his time answering, just to make the comm officer squirm. Now, I remember what's coming up here. This could get pretty brutal. Yes, what is it? Kip Durant, we have located your brother Zeth. Kip felt as if someone had thrust a lightsaber through his heart. What? You said he was dead. We checked thoroughly and found him in our files after all. He is stationed here on the Citadel, and his... and he has not managed to find transport off Karita. I've summoned him to my comm station. He'll be here in a moment. How can that be? Kip demanded. You said he died in training. I had the files you sent me. Falsified information, Lieutenant Duran said bluntly. Kip squeezed his eyes shut as hot tears sprang to fill his vision, suddenly overwhelming joy at knowing Zeth was still alive, anger at having committed the most fundamental mistake of all, believing what the Imperials told him. He snapped a glance at the chronometer. 21 minutes until the explosion. Kip watched as the Sun Crusher's controls, he wrenched the Sun Crusher's controls and shot back towards the planet like a laser blast. He doubted he had enough time to rescue his brother, but he had to try. He stared at the time display ticking away. His vision blurred, just like mine, and he felt the jolt go through him every time a number ticked down. It took 5 minutes to get back to Karita. He orbited around the massive planet in a high arc, crossing over the line from night into day. He set course for the small cluster of fortresses and buildings that made up the Imperial Training Center. Lieutenant Duran appeared again in the small holographic field, dragging a white armored stormtrooper into view. Kip Duran, please respond. I'm here, Kip said. I'm coming to get you. The comm officer turned to the stormtrooper. 2112, remove your helmet. Hesitantly, as if he had not done so in a long time, the stormtrooper tugged off his helmet. He stood blinking in the unfiltered light, as if he rarely looked at the world through his own eyes. Kip saw a heart-rending image that reminded him of the face he saw when he looked into a reflection plate. State your name, Doran said. The stormtrooper blinked in confusion. Kip wondered if he was drugged. 2112, he said. Not your service number, your name. The young man paused for a long time, as if... The young man paused for a long time. As if pawing through rusty Corona. All right. The young man paused for a long time, much like me, as if pawing through rusty, unused memories, until he came out with a word that sounded more like a question than an answer. Zeth? Zeth Duran. Kip didn't need to hear him say the name, though. He remembered the tanned, wiry boy who swam in the lakes of Dire, who could catch fish with a small hand net. Zeth, he whispered. I'm coming. The comm officer waved his hands. You can't make it in time, he said. You must stop the Sun Crusher torpedo. Reverse the chain reaction. That's our only hope. I can't stop it, Kip answered. Nothing can stop it. Doran screamed. If you don't, we're all going to die. Then you're all going to die, Kip said. You all deserve it, except for Zeth. I'm going to come for him. He plowed like thunder through the high atmosphere of Karita. Heated air purled off the sides of the superweapon as a shock front pushed the shield in front of him. Sonic booms rippled behind him. The planet servers approached it with a gut-wrenching speed. Kip roared over the cracked, blasted wasteland with craggy red rocks and fractured canyons. Out in the flat desert, he saw geometric shapes, tracks of precise roads laid by Imperial Corps of Engineers. The Suncrusher shot like a meteor over the cluster of bunkers and metallic huts. Indeed, isolated stormtroopers marched around in drills, unaware that their sun was about to explode. On the chronometer, 7 minutes remained. Kip called up a targeting screen and found the primary citadel. The air tugged at his ship, buffeting him with heavy winds, but Kip did not care. Flames from the ignited atmosphere flickered off the quantum armor. Give me your specific location. The comm officer began sobbing. I know you're in the main citadel building. Where exactly? In the upper levels of the southeast turret. Zeth answered precisely, responding in a military manner, clipping back into stormtrooper training. Kip saw the jagged spires of the military academy rising from the clustered plateau. Kip's scanners projected an enlarged image of the citadel, pinpointing the turret Zeth had mentioned. 5 minutes remain. Zeth, get ready. I'm coming in. To rescue us both, Durin said. Doran said. You got Kip Durin and this other dude, Doran. It's annoying. Kip felt a twinge inside. He wanted to leave the comm officer who had lied to him, who had made him despair and forced him to make the decision to destroy Karita. He wanted to let the lieutenant die in a burst of incinerating solar flame. But that man could help him for now. Get yourself into an open area. I'm going to be there in less than a minute. You can't get up in the roof in time, so I'm going to blast it off. Doran nodded. Zeth finally overcame his own confusion and said, Kip? My brother? Kip, is that you? The Suncrusher streaked over the jagged minarets and pinnacle of the Caridian Citadel. A mammoth wall surrounded the entire fortress. Out in the courtyard, hundreds of low-ranking refugees scrambled around in tiny flyers, aiming up towards the sky with no hyperdrive capabilities. They could never outrun the fury of the supernova. Kip decelerated abruptly until he hovered over the fortress. Suddenly, the Suncrusher lumbered from side to side. An automatic perimeter laser targeted him and fired. Shut down your defenses, he screamed at the comm officer. He wasted time, targeted and firing at the perimeter targets. 2 of the weapons emplacement blew up in smoke, but the third, a blaster cannon, scored a direct hit against the Suncrusher. The super weapon spun end over end, out of control, until it smashed into one of the tall turret walls. Kip managed to get control again and raise the vehicle up. No time to vent his anger. No time to do anything but get to the tower. Oh, fuck. Kip watched the chronometer click down from 4 minutes to 3. Take shelter, he said. I'm going to blast open the roof. He targeted one of the weapons and fired, but he received an error message. The laser turret had been damaged by his collision with the tower. Kip swore and spun the ship around so he could target with a different laser. After a short controlled burst, the roof of the tower melted inward. Chunks of skyrock and metal reinforced. Chunks of synrock and metal reinforcement girders sprayed into the air. Kip flicked on his tractor beam to yank the debris away before it could collapse on the lower floors. He brought the Suncrusher over the smoldering crater that had been the rooftop. I'm sorry, guys. It's getting very hard for me to read and see. He pointed his scanners down and saw 2 people scramble out from under the desk where they'd taken shelter. 2 minutes. Kip hovered over them. If he lowered his ship, they could reach the ladder to the hatch where they could climb up the shielded Suncrusher. He already had an escape route programmed in. As Kip dropped between them, Lieutenant Doran stood up and battered Zeth on the back of his skull with a broken plasteel shard. Zeth fell to his knees, shaking his head and pulling his blaster in reflex. The comm officer ran to the Suncrusher's ladder, but Kip, furious at seeing what Doran had done, raised the ship out of the man's reach. Scrambling, waving his arms, the comm officer jumped up to reach the rungs of the ladder, but he missed and slapped his hands against the hull instead. The quantum armor was still smoking from Kip's fiery plunge for the atmosphere. Doran screamed as it burned his hands. Falling back to the ground, Doran turned just in time to see Zeth point the blaster at him. With precise stormtrooper targeting, Zeth targeted and fired. The comm officer flew backwards, his chest a black hole. He collapsed among the debris. 1 minute. Kip maneuvered the Suncrusher back into position, lowered the ladder, but Zeth collapsed to his knees. Blood streamed down the back of his head, streaking the white stormtrooper armor. Zeth could not move. He had been too badly injured by the comm officer. Thinking rapidly, Kip locked onto his brother's limp body with the tractor beam, yanking him off the floor and drawing him towards the Suncrusher. This would be it. Kip left the controls and scrambled to the hatch. He would have to open the hatch, climb down the ladder, and haul his brother up inside. He reached for the locking mechanism that would open the Suncrusher, and then Kurita's sun exploded. The shockwave roared through the atmosphere, bringing instant incinerating fire. The entire citadel turned into a storm of flames. The Suncrusher tumbled over end, and Kip flew against the far wall of the cockpit, his face plastered against one of the external view screens. He saw the faint afterimage of Zeth's body disintegrating into a fading silhouette as the stellar energy ripped across Kurita. Kip hauled himself into the pilot's seat. In shock, he used his Jedi instincts to punch the sublight engines. The first wave of the supernova had been the prompt radiation. The high-energy particles shot out with the explosion of the star. A minute or so later, the heavier radiation would come. As rippling waves from the second hurricane of energy struck Kurita and cracked the planet open, the Suncrusher accelerated far beyond its red lines along the pre-programmed escape route. Kip felt gravity stretching his face into a grimace. His eyelids squeezed shut, and his anguished tears flowed backward against his temple, against the pull of his acceleration. The Suncrusher blasted out of the atmosphere and entered hyperspace. As star lines formed around him and the supernova made one last grab with hands of flames, Kip let out a long, anguished cry of despair at what he had done. His scream vanished with him into hyperspace. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. My eyes take a break, catch up with chat. So, bottom line, Kip steals the Suncrusher, goes to Kurita to try to find out about his brother. Gets lied to, says his brother's dead. He says, fuck all of you. I'm going to shoot this place up. I'm going to explode the sun. And he regrets it. He had to watch his brother die in front of him. Came so fucking close. His brother dies. Nicely done. I found my groove. I can't believe it took me this long to read one fucking chapter. What's up, Thomas? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. What did Dorn expect would happen? I agree. I don't know. Die in a burst of incinerating solar flame. Now that is a proper line to dish out to your enemies. I agree. Grand Moff Tarkin. Grand Admiral Throb. Interesting. If you don't blow up a sun or planet, you aren't doing it right. If I was an Imperial during the Battle of Endor and the Emperor dies, you go to the unknown regions? No, I would fucking take control of the Empire. They still got a lot of shit. Just no one to run it right. I take control. All right. We're going to try to read more of this. I have to keep taking these breaks. My eyes are like, I don't know if I've been looking at computers. So right now for my job, I look at computers the entire time I'm there. I don't know if so much screen time's fucking with my eyes or what, but I mean, I had 2015 vision 9 years ago. That was 9 years ago, 10 years ago. Now, now I might have to do some voices that you guys actually recognize. I don't know if I can do these. I guess I'll try. Fuck. Chapter 2. Leia Organa Solo emerged from the Millennium Falcon on Yavin 4, ducking her head as she walked down the landing ramp. She looked toward the towering edifice of the Great Masasi Temple. It was a cool morning on the jungle moon, and mist rose from the ground, clinging to the low treetops and brushing against the stone ziggurat like a thin white shroud. A funeral shroud, she thought, for Luke. It had been a week since the trainees of the Jedi Academy had found Luke Skywalker's motionless body atop the temple. They had brought him inside, done their best to care for him, but they did not know what to do. The best New Republic medics had found no physical damage. They agreed that Luke still lived, but he lay in complete stasis. He responded to none of their tests or probes. Leia had little hope of doing anything herself, but she would at least be with her brother. The twins came clomping down the Falcon's ramp, seeing who could make the loudest banging noises with their small boots. Han stood between Jason and Jaina, holding their hands. "Be quiet, you two," he said. I don't want to do kid voices, god damn it. "Are we going to see Uncle Luke?" Jaina asked. "Yes," Han answered, "but he's sick. He won't be able to talk to you." "Is he dead?" Jason asked. "No," Leia answered sharply. "Come on, let's get into the temple." The twins scampered ahead down the ramp. The sharp jungle smells brought warm and fresh memories to Leia as she walked across the clearing. Fallen trees, decaying leaves, and flowers mixed into a potent brew of scents. She had proposed the empty ruins of the site for Luke's academy, but Leia never managed to visit, and now she had come only to see her brother lying in state. "I'm not looking forward to this," Han mumbled. "Not at all." Leia... Oh, shit, what is that? Oops, pressed a button. Leia reached over to squeeze his hand. He gripped hers, holding tighter and longer than she expected him to. Robed figures emerged from the temple, drifting out of an early morning shadows. She quickly counted a dozen. In the lead, she recognized the rusty orange face of a Calamarian female, Sigil. Leia herself had seen Jedi potential in the fish-like woman and encouraged her to join Luke's academy. Sigil had managed to use her proven ambassadorial skills to hold 12 students together for the terrible days following the fall of their Jedi master. Leia recognized the other candidates gliding across the dew-damp ground. Streen, an older man with wild hair tucked haphazardly beneath a Jedi hood. He had been a gas prospector on Bespin, a hermit hiding from the voices he heard in his head. She saw the tall Karana T, one of the witches of Dathomir, whom Leia and Han had encountered during their whirlwind courtship. Karana T stepped forward, flashing a bright smile at the twins. She had a daughter of her own, only a year or so older than the twins, who remained in the care of others back on her homeworld. She also identified Tioni, with long silver hair that flowed down the back of her robe. Tioni was a student of Jedi history who wanted desperately to be a Jedi herself. Then came hard-bitten Cam Solazar, a once corrupted Jedi who Luke had dragged back into the light side. In Dorsk 81, a streamlined, slick-skimmed alien who had been cloned generation after generation because his society believed they had already developed the perfect civilization. Leia didn't recognize the other handful of Jedi candidates, but she knew Luke had been diligent in his Jedi search. Come on. The call still rang out to the galaxy, inviting those with the potential to become new Jedi Knights, even though their teacher now lay in a coma. Sigil raised her flippered hand. "We're glad you could come, Leia." "Ambassador Sigil," she said. "My brother, has there been any change?" They walked heavily back towards the oppressive temple. Leia believed she already knew the answer. "No." Sigil shook her squarish head. "But perhaps your presence will do something.
that we cannot.
That's my Admiral Akbar as a female. Seeing the solemn mood, the twins refrained from giggling and exploring the musty stone-walled rooms. As the party entered the gloomy ground-level hangar bay, Sigil led Leia, Han, and the twins to a turbo lift. Get far closer. Come on, Jason and Jaina, Han said, grabbing their hands again. Maybe you can help Uncle Luke get better. What can we do? Jaina asked, her liquid brown eyes wide and hopeful. I don't know, honey, he said. If you come up with any ideas, let me know. I will say one thing. The Amber says, thanks for reading. You're welcome. I will say one thing. One of my criticisms about these books are how advanced the kids are. They should, in theory, be 2.5 or 3 at this point, the twins. And say they're 3, they just don't act like 3-year-olds. And I know they say, well, they're with the Force. They're way further ahead than they should be. There's some things they do that just aren't like 3-year-olds if you have ever been around a 3-year-old. One of my criticisms. All right. The turbolift doors flowed shut, and the platform rose on the top levels of the temple. The twins clung to each other in sudden uneasiness. They had not recovered from their fear of turbolifts since the last time they had ridden one all the way down to the decaying bottom levels of Imperial City. But the ride was over in a moment, and they stepped out to the grand audience chamber of the great temple. Skylights spilled sunlight on a broad, polished stone promenade that led to a raised stage. Leia remembered standing on that stage years before, after the Death Star had been destroyed, presenting medals to Han, Chewbacca, Luke, and the other heroes of the Battle of Yavin. Chewbacca didn't get a damn medal. Now, though, her breath caught in her throat. Han groaned beside her, a deep, grieving tone that she had never heard him make before. On a bier at the end of the room lay Luke, like a body stretched out for a funeral in an echoing, empty chamber. Her heart thumped with dread. She wanted to turn around so she wouldn't have to look at him, but Leia's feet compelled her forward. She walked with a rapid step that became a run before she reached the end of the promenade. Han followed, carrying the twins, one in each arm. His eyes were red as he fought to keep tears from flowing. Leia already felt a wetness on her cheeks. Luke lay in response, in repose, swathed in his Jedi robe. His hair had been combed. His hands were folded across his chest. His skin looked gray and plastic-like. "Oh, Luke," she whispered. "Too bad you can't just thaw him out," Han said. "Like you rescued me from Jabba's palace." Leia reached out to touch Luke. Using her own abilities with the Force, she tried to reach deeper, to brush against his spirit, but she felt only a cold hole, an emptiness, as if Luke himself had been taken away. Not dead. She had always felt that she would somehow know if her brother died. Is he sleeping? Jason said. Yes, in a way, she answered, not knowing what else to say. When will he wake up? Jaina asked. We don't know, she said. We don't know how to wake him up. Maybe if I give him a kiss. Jaina clambered up to smack the motionless lips of her uncle. For an absurd moment, Leia held her breath, thinking the child's magic just might work, but Luke did not stir. He's cold, Jaina mumbled. The little girl's shoulders slumped with disappointment when her uncle failed to wake. Han squeezed Leia's waist so hard that it hurt, but she didn't want her husband to stop holding her. He's been unchanged for days, Sigil said behind them. We brought his lightsaber with him. We found it beside his body on the rooftop. Sigil hesitated, then moved to stare down at Luke. Master Skywalker told me I have an innate talent for healing with the Force. He had just begun to show me how to develop my skills, but I've tried all I know. He is not sick. There's nothing physically wrong with him. He seems frozen in a moment of time, as if his soul has left and his body is waiting for him to come back. Or, Leia said, waiting for us to find a way to help him return. I don't know how, Sigil said in a thin, husky voice. Those fucking voices. None of us knows, yet, but perhaps working together we can figure it out. Do you have any inkling about what really happened? Have you found any clues? Leia asked. She could sense the sudden spike of Han's turmoil. Sigil looked with her big Calamarian eyes, but Han answered with grim certainty. It was Kip. Kip did this. What? Luke said, whirling to stare at him. Han answered in a tumble of words. The last time I saw Luke, he told me that he was afraid for Kip. Han swallowed. He said that Kip had started dabbling in the dark side. The kid stole Mara Jade's ship and took off somewhere. I think Kip came back here and challenged Luke. But why? What for? Leia asked. Sigil nodded as if her head was too heavy for her. We did find the stolen ship in front of the temple. It is still here, and we do not know what he flew away with again. Unless he fled into the jungles. Is that likely? Leia asked. Sigil shook her head. We Jedi trainees have pooled our talents and searched. We do not detect his presence on Yavin 4. He must have left on another ship somehow. Oh. But why would he get another ship? Leia asked. But suddenly she remembered astonished New Republic astronomers reporting the impossible news that an entire group of stars in the Cauldron Nebula had gone supernova at the same time. Could Kip have resurrected the Suncrusher from the core of Yavin? Han blinked. How could he possibly do that? Sigil turned her head gravely. If Kip Duran has managed that, then his power is far greater than even we feared. No wonder he was able to defeat Master Skywalker. Han shuddered, as if afraid to accept what he knew was true. Leia could sense his emotions like a maelstrom within him. If Kip is on the loose with the Suncrusher, he said, then I'll have to go and stop him. Pretty brave, Han. Pretty self-confident, Han. Leia snapped around to look at him, thinking how Han always leaped headfirst into challenges. Are you getting delusions of grandeur again? Why does it have to be you? I'm the only one he might listen to, he said. He looked aside, staring down at Luke's cadaverous face. She saw his lips trembling. Look, if Kip doesn't listen to me, then he won't listen to anyone, and he'll be lost forever. If his power is as great as Sigil thinks, the kid's not an enemy the New Republic can afford to have. He gave one of his lopsided grins. Besides, I taught him everything he knows about that ship. He couldn't possibly do anything to me. Famous last words. Mara and Lethal need to do the voices. That'd be good. How much? All right. It was a somber dinner with the Jedi trainees. Han used the Falcon's food synthesizers to create a repast of heavy Corellian food. Leia picked at some spiced fried strips of a woolamander that Karana T had hunted in the jungle. The twins stuffed themselves with messy fruits and berries. Dorsk 81 devoured a bland and unappealing-looking meal of heavily processed food cubes. Conversation was minimal, little more than forced pleasantries. They all feared to discuss what really preoccupied them, until Cam Solazar said in a hard-edged voice, "We hoped you'd bring us news, Minister Organa Solo. Give us some guidance as what we should do here. We are Jedi students with no master. We've learned a little, but not enough to continue training on our own." Karana broke in. I'm sure we should try to learn things we don't understand. Or I'm not sure we should try to learn things we don't understand. Look what happened to Ganterus. He was consumed by some evil thing he inadvertently found. And what about Kip Duran? What if we get lured to the dark side without knowing it? Old Streen, stood up and shook his head. No, no, he's here. Don't you hear the voices? When everyone turned to look at him, Streen sat down and hunched his shoulders as if trying to hide under the Jedi robe. I can hear him. He's whispering to me right now. He talks to me always. I can't get away from him. Leia felt a rush of hope. Luke? You hear Luke talking to you? No, Streen wheeled at her. The Dark Man. A Dark Man, a shadow. He talked to Ganterus. He talked to Kip Durun. You shine the light, but the shadows always stay whispering, talking. Streen placed his hands against his ears and pressed his temples. This is too dangerous, Karana T said, knitting her eyebrows. On Dathomir, I've seen what happens when a large group falls to the dark side. The evil witches on my planet made things terrible for centuries, and the galaxy was saved only because they had no space flight. If the witches had managed to spread their dark workings from star system to star system... Yes, we should all stop our Jedi exercises, Dorsk81 said, blinking his large yellow eyes. This was a bad idea. We shouldn't have even tried. Leia slapped both of her hands on the table. Stop this talk, she said. Luke would be ashamed to hear his students saying such things. With attitudes like that, you'll never become Jedi Knights. She fumed. Yes, there is a risk. There will always be risks. You've seen what happens to someone who isn't careful. But that simply means you must be careful. Don't be seduced by the dark side. Learn from the sacrifices that Ganterus made. Learn from how Kip Durun was tempted. Learn from the sacrifice your master made in an attempt to protect you all. She stood and looked around at each of them. Some flinched. Some met her gaze. You are the new generation of Jedi Knights, she continued. Fuck over here. That is a great burden, and you must bear it because the New Republic needs you. The old Jedi protected the Republic for 1,000 generations. How can you give up after the first challenge? You have to be champions of the Force. With or without your Jedi Master, learn as Luke learned, step by step. You must work together. Discover things you don't know. Fight what has to be fought. But the one thing you can't do is give up. She is right, Sigil said in her maddeningly calm voice. If we surrender, the New Republic will have one less weapon against the evil in this galaxy. Even some of us fall. The rest must succeed. Do or do not, Karana T said, and Tioni finished the phrase that Master Skywalker had drilled into them. There is no try. Her heart pounding, her stomach weary, Leia slowly sat down. The twins stared at their mother in amazement, and Han gripped her hand in admiration. She breathed deeply, began to let herself relax, when suddenly a strangling outcry of death shattered her soul. It sounded like an avalanche within the Force, an outcry of thousands upon thousands of lives wiped out in an instant. Around the table, the other Jedi candidates, all those sensitive to the Force, clutched at their chests or their ears. Streen let out a loud wail. It's too many, too many! Leia's blood burned through her veins. Fuck. Powerful claws skittered down her spine, plucked her nerves, and sending jolts through her body. Both of the Jedi twins were crying. Baffled, Han grabbed Leia's shoulders and shook her. What is it, Leia? What happened? He apparently had felt nothing. What? She gasped. It was a great disturbance in the Force. Something terrible just happened. With a cold wash of dread, Leia thought of a young Kip Durun, turned to the dark side and now armed with the Sun Crusher. Something terrible, she said again, but she could not answer Han's other questions. End of chapter 2. So Leia gives a loud, impassioned speech to the Jedi, inspiring them when their master looks to be dead. Calling them champions of the Force. You know, when you get the title of the book in the second chapter, it's going to be good because she said champions of the Force. AFK Bard has to go. Thank you for being here, AFK Bard. My eyes are fucking killing me, guys. So I think we're going to end it at 2 chapters. Right as Pell's here saying, love this perfect as I'm playing Civ. Well, unfortunately, we're going to get going here. My goal was 2 hours, but my eyes just can't handle it. I need to go to the doctor. Maybe it's time I get some reading glasses or something. I don't know. Usually okay, but maybe it's a combination of the light or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it'd be better in like the daylight. All right, guys. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I'm probably going to do this more often, though, so I can start getting through this book. I need to read a lot more of it tomorrow, obviously, since I can't even fucking read tonight. It's not even about being on stream. What's up, Nexus? What did you guys think of the voices? That's my question for you all. How were the voices? Were the voices good? That's my question. Mark with a K is here. Hello, Mark with a K. Chewbacca wasn't in it for the medals. That's true. This was awesome. 2 chapters is perfect. The lamp, this fucking lamp. It's bright as fuck. Voices were dope. Good. I'm glad you guys liked it. I'm glad I didn't expect more than 10 people to watch, so I'm pretty happy with the people that we had here on the live channel. No notice stream. I've been reading Wraith Squadron while you're reading Jedi Academy. Nice, Tyler. That's a good one. Wraith Squadron's badass. But as with everything on the live channel, I'm going to leave this public so you guys can rewatch it if you want. Maybe I'll start a playlist where I'm reading these. I might have to edit some shit out for anybody that actually wants to read it like that. Amber says voices were good. Really liked your Han. That was the one that I hate because like Han has you know, everyone knows Harrison Ford, and you don't expect me to do a good Leia because I'm not a chick. But yeah, I'm glad you like my Han. Thank you. All right, guys, we're gonna call it here. If you haven't subbed to the channel, please do sub to my channel. If this is the only place you know me, check out my main channel too. Just search RK Outpost. You'll find it. Where I do a lot more activity around there. But thank you all for being here today. You're amazing. Thanks for hanging out while I fucking read a book. There's not much more I could ask from you guys. It's really cool. Thanks to everybody for always supporting me, actually. A lot of people in here are always in my chat, and you guys are the best. And I will talk to, well, I just saw something from Nexus. Hey, Ryan, cool idea for a stream would be for you and the EU gang to talk about a possible EU sequel trilogy. I never saw that, but I trust you guys can come up with something good. Yeah, maybe we could talk about that a little bit. I think once we get towards the end, we'll start talking about, you know, what we thought it would have been going forward, sort of the Jedi, stuff like that. Thanks, Nexus. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you, Steph, for dropping those links. I appreciate it. Make sure to sub and follow if you haven't already, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace. Bum, 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 bum.